Hello, good evening and welcome. Shalom, assalamu alaikum. It is November 2009. My name is Alexander Barron. I'm an independent researcher based in London, England, and this is Internet Sermon number 6 from me. The photograph you saw at the beginning of this video is not me, but Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the greatest statesman of our age. It's there purely because I'm having problems with my webcam and can't show you my ugly mug. So you're going to be listening to a blank screen, but it's not important that you see my face. It is important though that you listen to what I say. In a speech made to the Conservative Party conference in Manchester on October 5th, 2009, Mayor of London Boris Johnson addressed his audience in the following terms. Never forget, all you banker bashers, never forget that the leper colony in the City of London produces 9% of UK GDP and taxes that pay for roads and schools and hospitals across this country. I hope to convince you in this short dissertation that Boris was talking complete and utter rubbish, that the City of London produces absolutely nothing of value for this country, or at least nothing that can't be done far more efficiently for a tiny fraction of the cost on your home computer. And this is true not simply of the square mile, but of every financial centre in every nation throughout the world. Wall Street, Hong Kong, Tokyo, every financial centre, great and small. I hope to convince you that we can, if we have the will, and in a very few years, shut down 95% or more of all financial institutions, not only in Britain but throughout the world. And this will save not only hundreds of billions of dollars for these economies every year, but it will lead to an enormous drop in the demand for power, electricity and oil in particular. And that at the same time it will lead to a spectacular increase in real wealth, not just for us here in Britain or in the West, or in the so-called tiger economies of the Far East, but for every citizen of every country on the face of this planet. In 1992 I published a somewhat whimsical pamphlet called Windows 3.1 and the End of War. This was inspired by George Weiss, who is better known as Captain Rainbow of the Rainbow Alliance. If I recall, I first met him sitting on the steps of the London School of Economics. His idea, seemingly outlandish at the time, was that we should abolish Parliament and run the country by direct election, referendum, voting and initiative, all by computer. This idea doesn't sound half so outlandish today, when almost every citizen has access to the internet, most of us in our own homes, and where most of us use it regularly. The abolition of Parliament may still be a long way off, and indeed may never happen. But the British government, the American government and many other governments not only allow but encourage direct citizen participation by such things as e-petitions and the extension of official publications and national and local government services online. My proposal is that we extend this to banking. Let's for the moment leave stocks and shares, unit trusts, hedge funds and so on, and concentrate on straightforward banking. The first thing to note is that a great deal of banking and other financial activity is already carried out online. Many people pay rates, utilities and other services online. They book travel tickets and purchase all manner of goods and services online. There are even banks that trade exclusively online. Banks are a development from the goldsmiths. At one time, if you wanted to keep your money safe, you had to put it in a strong room, i.e. you lodged it with a local goldsmith. And in time, the goldsmiths began issuing receipts, paper currency, IOUs, cheques, to allow people to spend their gold without taking physical possession of it. Nowadays, most money exists as credit. I use the word exists rather loosely, because credit has no tangible existence. It used to be represented by figures in a ledger. Now it is represented by blips in cyberspace. I am not for one moment suggesting that we should abolish cash altogether, far from it. But although ordinary people, shoppers, consumers, and especially your local small traders, although they all use cash for day-to-day transactions, the goldsmithing function of the banks, if I may put it like that, being not quite obsolete, this is the only reason any of us really needs to use a bank or building society at a local level. At a higher level, this function is hardly needed at all. The fact that credit has no tangible existence means that you don't need safes, strong rooms or elaborate physical security, and you don't need palatial offices in the City of London either. Provided you have unimpeachable online security, you can run most of the banking system from desktop PCs. Most bank clerks could actually work from home. One of the objections to this will be that banks need to adopt a hands-on approach. They have to assess the creditworthiness of their borrowers and so on. This is based on the fallacy that banks lend the money of their depositors. People deposit money with the bank and this earns X% interest. Other people borrow money and pay the bank X plus Y% interest, and the bank's profit is derived from the differential interest rates less its overheads. That is a myth that was exploded by Major Douglas back in the 1920s. Banks do not in fact lend the money of their depositors, rather the money stays on deposit and they create credit. This credit goes out to borrowers and is used in turn to create further deposits and money, and when the creditors repay their loans, this new money is cancelled out of existence, except for the interest, which is the bank's profit. Up until fairly recently, the reality of this process was admitted only in specialist textbooks, if at all, but the recent adoption of so-called quantitative easing has led to its general acceptance. For the mathematically minded among you, including you, Sabine, here is the proof given by Major Douglas himself.